Anime and toxicity go together like pancakes and fruit. They don't, but people keep trying to make it work anyway. For years, anime fandoms have been toxic. It's normal. Anime has, for some reason, gotten to the point that people need to make it a negative thing to talk about. You can look at AOT or JoJo, for example, of popular toxic fandoms. Recently, there's been a shonen surge in popularity, I assume, which means more and more people are getting into anime now than ever before. And this is a good thing. I mean, more people to enjoy the hobby, right? But with more people comes more negativity. And it feels like every year we sink deeper and deeper into this cesspool of terrible people who are enjoying anime and bringing their hot takes to the table. Now, I think like last year, I would have given the award of most toxic fan base to like Jujutsu Kaisen or One Piece, but I think this year more than ever that title's going to DANDADAN, like without a shadow of a doubt. And it's not even really the anime's fault. It's more just, well, I mean, it's never the anime's fault. It's always the fandom. But I feel like this one has cultivated such a strong negative reaction that you can't really give the title to anybody else. Now, first, I want to start by saying I haven't watched DANDADAN yet. I think I've watched like one episode and I've only read like 30 chapters of it. So my criticisms definitely aren't going to be based at all on the manga itself. But I think it's important that if you have watched DANDADAN, you've watched this video and understand that you are part of a cesspool of negativity that is not getting better anytime soon. Now, for those of you who don't know, DANDADAN is a show that I'm just going to summarize really quickly. It's about a girl and a boy who live in a world with demons and aliens. Pretty simple plot, pretty fun actually. I'd say the show's like, if you're not into much anime, it's actually a pretty good starter show in my opinion. So like, you should definitely check it out. And the show features two main characters, Momo and Akarun. Man, I fuck up his name all the time, whatever. And they're the main characters. They're like these two high schoolers that have a crush on each other. Typical setup. And the reason that this controversy has gotten so bad is because of this picture. Yep, that's it. This picture. Now, in case you don't know, this is what they originally look like. And yes, I can already see it on your face. You're starting to see the problem. Now, this picture, this fan art here, caused an insane uproar across Twitter and probably on other outlets as well, but I'm mostly seeing this outrage on Twitter. And there are people who are deeming this picture racist. Yes, as you can see, the fan art depicts the two main characters in a more black aesthetic. They have darker skin, more like enthusiastic lips. They changed their hairstyle a bit. They've essentially changed the characters to be black. And you can probably assume that the artist who made this is black and made it with the intention of personifying themselves into the characters that they like. Now, in my personal opinion, and we'll get into this later in the video, this is completely okay. You have the free reign to do whatever you want with your fan art, and anyone has the free reign to react however they want. However, I feel like this reaction that this picture has sought out on Twitter is so enthusiastically bad that you just need to take a minute to process what the hell people are upset about. Now, the main problem with this image seems to be that people of Asian and even white descent, for some reason, are seeing this as changing the race of the characters. And this is deemed racist because it's essentially eliminating their Japanese ethnicity and changing it into a black one. Now, I think we can all agree that fan art speaks intense volumes of its creators. Like I said, you can make whatever you want, but everyone has the reaction that they're allowed to have, dependent on what you made. And I feel like we can all just simultaneously agree that the reaction to this image wasn't to degrade the Japanese. It wasn't to harm them or erase their role. It was more to just, like I said, personify themselves in the character that they like watching. Unlike art like this, see, this is meant to harm. I feel like everyone can acknowledge that this was meant with the intense purpose of harming. And I want to bring up how Black people have a much better position in doing this with fan art than probably any other ethnicity in the world. And I'm going to explain why. Now, Whitewashing and Asian washing, as these terms are called, are not okay, even though, in my personal opinion, they should be. And there's a reason for this. You see, black people have the tendency to make fan art of anime characters to better represent themselves in a medium that they don't typically see themselves in. Now, that's normal, obviously. I mean, it's anime. It's made by Japanese people for Japanese audiences. The fact that you're not going to see black people that often is just the sad truth of it. Could that be changed? Yes. Am I a huge advocate for it? It's never really been at the top of my priority list. However, I feel like we all can acknowledge that when black people make fan art of themselves as anime characters, it's not with the intent to harm. At least the majority of it. There's probably cases where people do it because they see the Japanese features as ugly and demeaning, which is absolutely terrible, and those people should be condemned. However, there are definitely people who do the opposite with the intention to harm, and unfortunately that ends up being the majority. Whitewashing and Asian washing is bad not because you're changing the skin color of black anime characters to white, but it's done specifically in retaliation. You can probably count on both of your hands, at most, the amount of times you've seen a character that was originally dark-skinned turned into a white-skinned character because the character or the artist wants to see themselves in that character. No, typically whitewashing is done in retaliation to blackwashing because it's sort of like a get me moment, like, haha, I can change the character too. Come on, why even do that? Like, call it what it is, because that's racism. That's racism at its finest. You're seeing black people express themselves in a medium and you're going, no, if you're allowed to do that, then I'm allowed to do that. When we were all allowed to do that in the first place. You're only doing it for a negative reason, though, and that's the problem. And the reason why this is such a bad take to have on this type of topic is because anime does it all the time. You can cite so many examples or moments where anime has pulled from other cultures, or the Japanese have pulled from cultures that are not Asian related at all to tell stories. You can look. This account puts it perfectly. This post from Latte Coffee puts it perfectly. Where the show Fate, if you don't know, Fate's a show all about history and cultures and different historical figures coming together, takes from a Mexican culture and completely changes the visual style of its god to suit its own narrative. And nobody would bat an eye at this because we all agree there's no negative intention behind this. If you watch Fate isn't trying to say that any culture is stronger than the other. They're all depicting the gods in pretty cool ways if you watch the show. But you bring up this and I'm pretty sure everybody will go silent because everyone acknowledges that this is anime taking from a different culture and changing it visually to fit the anime. How is this any different? This is even more different from fan art because that's one person expressing themselves in a show that they like. This is an entire show taking from an entire culture, which I know for a fact the Japanese probably didn't ask a Mexican historian about this before making it, or asked, like, I don't know, the Mexican for permission, because obviously not. But this was done with the intention of taking from another culture and putting their own spin on it. And nobody would bat an eye at this. But because fan art does it and it pops off, now it's a racial attack. People are so obsessed with the fact that it's racist that they'll even attack the voice actors who are like, they're calling it a declaration of racism. Like, imagine that you use black fan art of a character that you voice because it personally identifies with you more because you're a black guy and the character you're voicing is white. But you see black fan art that looks pretty good, you're like, oh, okay, this helps me connect to the character more because it's me, but it's even closer to me. And people are calling you a racist and saying that you are attacking the Japanese by excluding them. Motherfucker, I'm already voicing your show. I'm as close to this as it's gonna get. Now, there is absolutely a double standard for this topic on YouTube and on Twitter and just on the internet in general about characters being allowed to have their color changed to suit a fan art. And I have my own thoughts about this, but an account named Zupperwill in their drafts puts it in the most perfect way possible. I don't disagree with people being upset with the double standard, because I myself agree that people put too much importance when the other way around happens, even when it's not malicious, because he's right. Everyone does fan art, and sometimes the skin color ends up a bit different than how it originally was planned or originally was done. But 9 times out of 10, I can agree it's probably not with malicious intent. Sometimes it's just some people's art style. Sometimes some people place such little value on the color of people's skin that they don't even notice that it's different, which, in my personal opinion, is the most positive way to look at it. The issue that I have personally is that Japanese people and racist LARPers, so aka those white people who are essentially taking their views, their racist views, the racist white people of course, and they're inputting them into the conversation to make it seem like they're defending the Japanese, when really they're just taking out their anger on black people, are engaging in the same behavior that they are villainizing with death threats to the artist who didn't do anything except the drawing itself, and the dubbed VA of Okarun who showed his support despite the blatant racism thrown at the artist. You can call out the double standard without being blatantly racist to black people, which is what's happening in mass, and that is why I personally don't have it in me to give a single fuck what they say. Well fucking said. Everybody is wrong in this situation in a way. You can be a person who wants to defend black art without attacking the few times that somebody accidentally messes up or just doesn't put the correct shading of tone on somebody's skin color, and you just bash them and say their art style sucks and they're trying to be racist. And on the other side, you can see a character being made black to just personify better with its creator and not completely throw a hiss fit at them as if they're trying to attack your entire culture. There's layers to how bad this problem is, and both sides have done something wrong in it. And the worst part is, one side isn't going to relinquish and let the other side fix themselves up. Both sides are just going to keep coming at each other for this really, really stupid reason. So I think it's safe to say that DANDADAN has found itself in the cesspool of being anime's most disgusting fan base at the moment. The reaction to this 16-year-old girl's art is only a sign that we're still no closer to eliminating the extreme hatred of black representation in anime, whether that be in the actual show or from the fan art that people make of it. And obviously I want to say that this has nothing to do with the normal people who watch anime and just ignore all this shit. Like, if you're not online and you see this shit, you probably just see, okay, cool, that's nice fan art, move on. Like, this video is honestly made for a very loud minority, but I feel like it's a video that needs to be made, because I feel like it's hilarious how many people that aren't normal are out berating this topic like they're eventually gonna always be in the right. I mean, we got this guy that said, what's his name? Rev Says Desu, calling the acknowledgement of a very real problem that the voice actor faces on a regular basis insufferable. Which is crazy to say from a person who probably hasn't faced this type of discrimination before. I mean, I can only assume that you're white unless you're a black person with a white VTuber model, in which case, I mean, again, do you. I just don't want to make the assumption that you face this type of discrimination and then would call its acknowledgement insufferable. But hey, assume it makes an ass out of you and me, so whatever. If you disagreed with me on any of my points, comment why down below. And I'd love to engage in conversation with you guys about this topic, because I think the perspective on it is very important. But for now, show's over.